So if you look at this consideration, if the peons have the accidents, and it is usually either third parties such as the public, or but most typically it's the actual workers that have the accidents, and the directors that are responsible for those accidents in the law, then doesn't it strike you that the communication between the two is rather indirect? Given that if the lowest level worker has to actually make a comment to the supervisor, that then has to be passed on by the supervisor to the line manager, etc., etc. And so if the director is responsible and the peon has the incident, then surely we should have a more direct communication. And so we've got a couple of things that help with this communication, and this is the employee representatives. And so these are included in health and safety legislation. And so employee representatives, where you don't have a more formal unionized environment, will usually just be someone that the employees respect and trust. And so they can raise issue from the employees to the line manager. They are very helpful tools in health and safety because, and in general communication, because they can help to filter out the important from the less important. They have a good sort of feel of what's going on in the workplace, what are really the concerns. The consideration, so they typically don't get much higher than the line manager. It's very rare that they speak to any departmental or regional manager in the organization. So it's very difficult for them to influence the overall direction of the organization with regards to health and safety. But they are fairly capable at dealing with specific issues with regards to health and safety. But it's worth noting that their actions are also tied up with all of the other multitude of issues that get raised by the peon levels, people in the organisation, and so these considerations will also so we'll fight for attention. And if you want to get the employees on board, it might be that you want them to make sure that they wear their ear defenders at all times. Well, that's not important to the employee. The employee wants to get the coffee machine fixed in the canteen. And so both issues will be raised through the employee rep to the line manager. But it may be that the line manager has to do something towards the psychological contract by fixing the coffee machine before the employees will come on board with wearing the ear protection. Union reps or official health and safety representatives in a business, they can communicate with all levels of the management in the organization. And so they're effective at trying to drive direction for health and safety in an organization. And because they have direct communication with the lowest level employees in the organization, they also have a feel of what are effective approaches and what are not as effective. And so a successful and an open communication between the senior level management and the union health and safety representative can actually be a particularly useful tool in ensuring the effectiveness of risk assessment, control measures, and general approach to health and safety. It is worth noting that it may not be an attitude of sort of open, so there's not an awful lot of trust that goes on between unions and managers of organizations. And the unions are generally referred to as a kind of thorn in the side of the organization, organizational managers. And one thing I will leave it up to you to decide is whether that is a good thing or a bad thing when it comes to health and safety.